In a world filled with screens and distractions, we invite you to reconnect with the natural world around you. Welcome to Nature Bound, a podcast dedicated to unpacking the intrinsic bond between humans and nature. We'll uncover the benefits of spending time outdoors, including how a nature-centric lifestyle can improve your mental health, elevate your leadership skills, and unleash your creativity. And now here's your host, outdoor enthusiast, and renowned author of The 7 Principles of the Magic Rock, Emanuel Rose.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of Nature Bound. Today, I'm going to go through migration that I took this year, weeks and about 4,000 miles, and it ended up being quite an adventure. Left on I think around September 7th. Loaded up the Nissan Xterra, and I put Texas back, and I had a hitch rack for the first time, two ice chests, and waterfowl gear, including some decoys, and fly fishing gear, including waders, and 4 shotguns. So that I had 2 for waterfowl, 2 for upland hunting, and a few dry boxes, and a tent, and a couple sleeping bags. And I knew that I was going to be out long enough that I wouldn't be able to, wasn't going to come back to Reno to resupply. So I had to carry winter gear and summer gear. And it was really hot when we first took off, and didn't get back until November. In the mornings and nights were like around 29 degrees. I started out headed from Reno straight north up to the Jarbidge Wilderness, which is right up by Idaho. It's a very remote part of the state and the country. And from there, then I spent some time in Tennessee, and to Saskatchewan, and through Montana, through the Flathead, and then Heppner, Oregon is Central Oregon, and then eventually in Oregon in the Wahi Canyon lands. And here's the summit. A lot of it spent by myself. Just in Texas, so it was just and it was the Jarbidge was not, and the campsite, and I got to see all kinds of amazing. It was just like this. This is the drive-in. It's like 40 road coming in from the south or mountain. I was headed back up through the north. So Jarbidge, whole spot. Mining town. There's still a group live out there, and it's putting it on your bucket list in the summertime to see what world you get to see out that amazing wilderness. Where I was camped in Targhee, I was there. Really neat time. I got to see the bugling elk and lots of elk. The elk would bugle all night long. It was really it was cool to kind of waiting for message that they were starting to be up in Saskatchewan. Spent a few days there, and while I was there, I finished a book that I'll talk about in a little bit as well. So, and spent some time playing the guitar and doing some writing in Targhee, which was awesome. Really nice, full campsite. Then made my way up to Saskatchewan through patrol on our side and the border patrol on the Canadian side, which is a pain, but that moves smoothly. And I got up into Saskatchewan and spot it's an old farmstead, and set up the tent, 4-man tent, and just figuring out where the waterfowl were moving around, perennial cranes, and being out where miles of view there in Saskatchewan. It's one of my favorite memories. There were a lot of these guys running around, a lot of these antelopes. Antelope that had lions and other big bucks like this. So see, and you can see here, that those mountains from here is probably about a 20-minute drive, 20 maybe 30-minute, and that's kind of the the peak of the game, which is not very much. And this is a little impoundment that I would go hard in the day. So this was the only spot where I had a little wind, get to more elevation, and it was a little bit cooler. So it was fun to spend some time here with Tex and let him water off. And waterfowl hunting is an early activity usually, and it's one of the first hunts that I was involved in. And I picture a couple of sandhill things that I go up there for. Yeah, very good eating. Unique this year. So I was hunted by myself. I had to make decisions about where to hunt, how to hunt, how many decoys to put out for the farmers to get permission, and then hope that I had a few good days of hunting. It was all too good. Dasky, then I went to the Flathead, down to Hungry Horse Reservoir, and this was the campground that I had, one of the few moments where it wasn't pouring rain. So really, Hungry Horse Reservoir right outside of Glacier National Park. Absolutely gorgeous area, and worth putting on your bucket list if you haven't been into that area of Montana yet. Lots of camping, obviously lots of fishing to do, and it's a great spot. This is the reservoir itself, very remote, and lots for the humans to spread out, and it wouldn't stop. So I was like, stay here in the rain. So I took off and headed down to Hefner and got down there, and I had about a week getting there, and when the upland season opened, so I had a lot of time to get work done and spend some time running techs, and uh, it's the Hunter's Moon, which is really big moon, full moon. I love that the reservoir that it's the book that I finished writing while I was Targi, one dog, which is about upland hunting, and Kelly Hamby. Uh, I wrote the accompanying narrative. And if you have anybody in your life that's interested in dogs or that should be, it's a great book. And just in terms of telling the story and all the various things that I've learned from upland bird hunting, and the imagery and the photos are unbelievable, just like this cover image. So, little lifestyle photo from after one of our hunts. That's Tex. He, after a couple days in a row of hunting, he's just taking the nap in the sun, and he's 12 years old now. So I never know which season is going to be his last season. I was really happy that he was able to make it through this trip without any big injuries, and he seems no worse for the wear at this point. Uh, Upland birds, when we're in Hepner, we're after pheasants and Hungarian partridge and quail and chucker and occasionally grouse. And these are those are the ringneck pheasants, and the birds on the left are the Hungarian partridge. So as a good hunting season, not the best, but it was a good hunting season. There were birds around, and everybody had an opportunity to enjoy that part of the process. Um, After Hebner drove down to the Oahe River area, and that's what this is, the Oahe River, and just a really remarkable part of Eastern Oregon. And it's, again, very uninhabited, lots of space, and lots of amazing vistas and views. This was an early morning shot. It's cold enough that it's probably in the 20s at this time, and the steam's coming off the river. Um, this is an area that we drove out to doing scouting to look for a place to hunt. We didn't hunt this stuff, fortunately, but something right next to it. You can see how deep those canyons are. And then these are called the Pillars of Rome, which are really cool. And part of a lake bottom at one time. So Rome, Oregon. It's another one that's worth putting on your list. This was the last day of the trip. Unfortunately, I took a tumble and scraped the heck out of my face and head, and a little bit of a scare, but it ended up everything's healed up fine, and I didn't have any lasting negative repercussions from this. But it's a reminder that being outside has its own dangers. This is the Hunter's Moon. That's a shot that I took uh, from the campground that I was at in Hepner, and I thought it was a remarkable view, and I loved that. So this year I was out for, like I said, 8 weeks in a row. I stayed in motel or friend's house just 4 or 5 nights. So I spent a lot of time in the tent. I spent a lot of time outside. Had a lot of time of reflection, and stayed in touch fairly regularly. I had Starlink to get on the internet and do some work. I was able to close some business while I was traveling. I mostly got into a little bit more of a rhythm of uh, a slower rhythm, I would say, of being outside and uh, being on kind of the hunting schedule or hiking schedule. and I noticed when I got back just how busy everybody is, and so part of my practice is to not be as busy as everybody else around me, and then to keep that the pace of introspection and thoughtfulness, mindfulness, as some traditions call it, so that the busy Baxen part of life can be kept at bay. So that was one of the things I noticed. It was really warm the first part of the trip, like too warm to do much, and then it got cool in the mornings, in the 20s, and so that the temperature variance was an interesting part of it. Um, like I had said, I spent a lot of time by myself, and then would move into periods where then I would be part of a hunt. Also, a transition to make of working out the social situations, and so that was interesting. The gear is is really dialed in for the way that I like to train. I got the Cabela's 4-man Alaskan tent, very sturdy in the wind, very dry, rain and snow. I have a little buddy. He's really amazing. Need to warm it up in the evenings, and I'm sleeping on that camp stove and a little pro. Um, I don't have much in terms of I to update or upgrade. I'm really satisfied with. I think when I look at what I'm going to do next, I think I would like to come back and forth to the house in the middle of the trip rather than extended one big trip. Um, think also I came back this year. Obviously, I had that injury of a jarring thing, but I was able to work through that pretty quick. I think the most interesting, really excited to get work done and have had productive and um, period since I got back November, early November. So I'm really thankful that get out and do the trip and be that many weeks and and I appreciate the creature comforts of the house that we have out here in Reno. So it was a great trip. It was miles of driving, which I did on my own. Uh, um, I didn't listen to many books on tape and sat with my own thoughts. I was happy that got through the season okay. I did have, one check engine on, but that eventually just disappeared on its own and impacted the bump. So it worked out relatively well. And the dog working, the hunt was good, stuff, and I certainly encourage you to carve yourself this summer coming up, or and create your own kind of migration so that you can experience off the leash for and um, and experience or sleeping out under the stars, having some time out in nature. Bye for me, and I appreciate soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Nature Bound. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. If you found value in today's episode, please share with someone who needs to hear it. Be sure to purchase your copy of the 7 Principles of the Magic Rock at emmanuelrose.com or on Amazon. We thank you again for joining us today, and remember to get nature bound.